Flavius Stilicho was a Vandal who married high into the Roman family and became the advisor and guardian to the young boy emperor Honorius. This young emperor saw the sacking of Rome and the most chaotic period in Roman history. Pressured by his council, he had Stilicho executed based off his barbarian ancestry. Stilicho, unfortunately, seemed like the only man who could keep things under control. Meanwhile, Marcus rose up in revolt as a usurper. Gratian rose up as a usurper. Both were killed by their own men who they could not please. However, the third usurper, Constantine III, was successful, invading from Britain into Gaul and eventually becoming co-emperor. However, Constantine himself did not go without rebellions and usurpers, and was also eventually killed. Meanwhile, Attila Total War. Don't get me wrong, I love Attila, but as always, more could have been done. Historicals are not a limitation. This series attempts to give more love to Total War factions, adding more, however keeping within the limitations of the game engine. The ideas discussed will be based off history, and focus only on what is historically accurate, but, and it's a big but, in a way that also improves upon the gameplay. The fall of the Western Roman Empire was history's ultimate Game of Thrones. Romans having to unite with Romans, yet due to internal struggles, they end up killing each other, but still they need to unite to deal with the coming threats on the other side of the wall, and the cavalry hordes to the east, starvation, the rise of religious extremism. After it was all over, the empire had no real heir. One was chosen, and the ending was not what we wanted at all. They actually are quite similar. Firstly, let's talk about the game, and one major issue many have with it. The game is all about the fall of Rome, falling, losing for the most part. This makes it play out very differently. Some like it, but others hate it. So, how about we remove the Western Roman Empire as one body? Instead, the game starts a little later. The Western Roman Empire is still there, ruled by the boy Honorius, but generals have already risen up, claiming to be emperor. 1. This would take territory away from the Western Roman Empire, making them less daunting. They are still the crumbling super challenge that they're meant to be, but less daunting and less time consuming at the start. And 2, on the other side, there's not just 2 Roman factions that are very similar, but a few smaller Roman factions as well. These start with hardly any territory at all, and become the let's build a new name for ourselves type of campaign. Like all other Total War campaigns, start small, build up, but as Romans in Attila. Overall, this will make it more enjoyable for both sides of the community, and for Romans, more replayable. Next, let's talk about the faction internally. One of the biggest catalysts that caused the fall of Western Rome and the sacking of Rome was the execution of Stilicho. So, something like this could be in the game. Let's say you get an option to kill him or not. Each option would create a whole new story path of options. Kill him and it goes historical. Keep him alive and instead you face other issues and challenges, making it more replayable, enjoyable, interactive and historical, at the same time, similar to the feature available to the Celts, and similar to a system that's in 3 kingdoms. These events should continue throughout the game, much like how Paradox does it. Good and bad options on either side, although I think they should be much rarer than Paradox. In addition, this feature here could really be built upon to sort of create and tell a story that the characters have to go through. All the while, the decisions impact the game and your character's development. This could heavily tie in the usurpers. Custom diplomacy options that could result in more uprisings. Some surrendering and rejoining into your cause, and some you may end up having to create a co-emperorship of some kind. Historically accurate events, but you get to choose the path and see it in your campaign. Okay, now externally, it could work the same way. The Slavic factions have a unique custom option where they can give food or gold to the Huns in exchange for peace. And not Total War diplomacy peace where the AI is going to backstab you. The AI, because it works through an event, is scripted to stick to that deal, the price of which gradually increases over time. This is an example of a unique diplomacy option, and you see more like it in Warhammer. But why only for the Slavs? This happened historically for the Eastern Roman Empire, so why not allow them the same option? Give the same option to the West. Involve more factions with unique diplomatic abilities and go from there. In Warhammer, there's a feature where you can help your allies in the Empire if they are under attack. If you choose to help, you spawn troops there and fight the battle with your ally. If you choose not to, it looks unfavourably back onto you. This could be perfect for reflecting the relations between East and West. Do you choose to fight with them, help them, and in return they help you? Or do you plan for all-out war from the start and instantly cut off connections? Just imagine holding out in Ravenna, surrounded by hordes and hordes. All is lost. You think your ally betrayed you, but then the trumpet sounds, and the Eastern Roman Empire rides in. They did come after all, but they expect that favour to be repaid in future. This should be a rare option, and only for particular cities at particular times, but I think it could add a bit more flavour. This could tie in with the sacking of Rome in a very interesting way. If it's scripted so the Visigoths attack and push for Rome, and they break through into Italy, then they should hold it under siege and request a custom peace treaty from you. If you refuse, Rome gets sacked. If you accept, the peace treaty is signed, but they gain a lot from it at your expense. Also, Attila needs a form of the war weariness mechanic. Does not need to be as brutal as Age of Charlemagne, but I love the extra strategic details that mechanic created. Overall, I think the Western Roman Empire, funnily enough, fails to truly portray how messed up this faction was, and I think everything discussed in this video can make it more historical, yet in a way that improves gameplay. On top of this, more Roman factions need to be added. I think the chance to play from the start as a usurper could have a lot of potential, and really open the game up to those who only were looking for an empire builder, and not what Attila was. But too late for all of this, and this video was merely entertainment. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I have been MELKOR, leave a like, but for now, until the next one, MELKOR.